Do you watch Doctor Who, DV?
Unfortunately, I don't.
You don't? Oh.
I don't.
So none of us watch Doctor Who?
I've watched some of the episodes in the most recent series, I think.
Yeah.
But not much.
Okay, I don't watch Doctor Who. I've seen clips when my wife likes it, she watches it. I don't watch it, so I don't stay in the room when she's watching it. I go off and do something else. So I have no fucking idea. But she's really, really, really pissed off that it's a female doctor.
Is she?
Yes, she really is. She's really not happy with it. Just because she likes Doctor Who as being a man, I guess. I don't know why. Maybe she's got internalized misogyny. But it's actually she actually sent me this thing that you guys should be able to see on the screen share.
Yep.
Yeah.
She actually sent me this, right? And she was like, look at the way she's like giving the interview. She's not pleased to be the Doctor, which is apparently what the previous like 3 people, when they'd done a similar interview, they were like, oh yeah, I'm such a big fan, I'm so pleased to be the Doctor. But that's not the impression she got from her, and I haven't actually read through this yet, so
she's entitled to be the Doctor. It's
I don't know.
She's using being a doctor to promote something else.
Yeah,
for some different reason.
Like it doesn't take long for them to get to the first woman Doctor bit. What does it feel like to be the first woman Doctor? Question 6. It feels completely overwhelming. As a feminist, as a woman, as an actor, and as a human, as someone who wants to continually push themselves and challenge themselves, and not be boxed in by what you're told and what you can and can't be, it feels incredible. And it's like, that's not speaking to the part of the Doctor for her. She was, apparently the other guys have been like, yeah, well, I'm such a huge fan, it's such a privilege and an honour to play the Doctor. And this woman seems to just be talking about herself and feminism, which, I mean, literally, it feels completely overwhelming. She's talking about herself. And the second thing, as a feminist, and then as a woman. So
as an ideologue, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the point. She's got 2 other points before she gets to the question, which is, what does it feel like to be the first woman Doctor? All right, well, okay, but I'm me, a feminist. Oh, yeah, I am a woman as well. Yeah, okay, yeah. You know, it's so weird that she wouldn't just... and she just makes the whole thing about herself. And I mean, I can see why my wife is pissed off about this.
And who the hell is telling women they can or can't be sci-fi heroes? There's loads of female sci-fi characters.
Yeah.
Successful ones, in good shows.
Obviously.
I had many fans ask me to talk about it, and I noticed like on a lot of Facebook groups and other forums that I frequent, like a lot of people are bitching. It's like, oh, there's so many man babies crying about the female Doctor Who. But I think there's more people crying about the man babies than there actually are man babies.
Yeah, I don't really care. I looked through the tags and I couldn't see anyone complaining. I could see people complaining about people complaining, but I couldn't see anyone complaining. And I don't give a shit what happens on Doctor Who. And from my limited knowledge of it, I don't see why the Doctor couldn't be a woman. You know, I don't see any.
Yeah,
I don't see
the
problem.
problem.
A woman a couple of seasons ago. So basically, they said it could happen. So she could basically become,
right, okay.
Whatever.
Well, if it's within canon, it's within canon. I don't care, and I don't see a problem.
The problem isn't the gender. Like, the issue with Hillary Clinton wasn't that she was a woman. It's the same deal. Like, if you put a person in the role just because they're a woman, it gives a window in on your politics. And if that's your politics, and if you're willing to change the show based on it, then your writing's going to be ideological, thus compromised, thus probably shit.
Well, it's certainly going to push an agenda, isn't it? That's the problem.
Yeah.
I would be upset if James Bond would be black, for instance, or James Bond would be a woman. Unless it's like the daughter of James Bond, and that would make sense. But in the case of Doctor Who, it's in canon. I mean, he does get reincarnated.
Yeah. But let me read out point 7, because this just sounds really weird to me. What do you want to tell the fans? It's like, do you have a message directly for the fans who are obviously concerned about this new takeover? And literally her response is, I want to tell the fans not to be scared by my gender. Because this is a really
everything you love.
Because this is a really exciting time, and Doctor Who represents everything that's exciting about change. The fans have lived through so many changes, and this is only a new, different one, not a fearful one. Doesn't that sound like the speech of an incoming regime?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of it. How the fuck can you be afraid of an entertainment thing? It's like, if fans don't like it, they don't watch it. They're not scared.
Yeah, but seriously, it's so weird. It just sounds like the changing of a government. to me.
Yeah, you probably are going to wake up tomorrow night covered in sweat and go like, oh, Doctor Who is a woman.
Well, no, that's the thing.
Oh my God, what a terrible
But
nightmare.
that's why this is so strange, because I mean, like, I could see, like, you know, Saddam Hussein saying that in Kuwait or something. You know, it's like, don't be afraid, this is an exciting change, it's going to be better for everyone, don't worry, you know, to mollify the population and stop them from panicking. And it's so strange that the new Doctor Who would be making that speech. Why? You know, and if it wasn't an ideological conquest, why did you name yourself as a feminist first?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and that's
people
how I
want-
think she is seeing this. And that's it's not how, I mean, I didn't see it this way, but that seems to be her impression of what's happened here.
I can
I'll
see why
wager very
people are
few
complaining.
serious
Like,
commentators are scared of the gender. I would suspect that they're scared of the advocacy group ostensibly for that gender,
Yes.
which is currently consuming everything in media and is giving, as you said,
they're
a conquering
basically-
speech as a dictatorship might over this thing it's now begun to ossify.
yeah.
Oh, you learned a new word.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's,
as if you
no,
don't do that.
I think they're afraid that the gender ideology might take away from the actual story.
well,
and you're going to see,
I
like-
think they are as well, and I think they should be, because I think it probably will, but that's not my problem, so I don't care.
I mean, if you
used to
watch
like-
the new Spider-Man movie, like literally in the first second of it, they basically say, "Oh, Indians did blah blah blah," and it's like, "Oh no, dude, don't call them Indians. You need to call them African Americans or whatever, Indian Americans or what the term." And it's like, why? Why are you educating me? And it's like these things that are really annoying when you watch them in a TV show.
Yeah, it's just strange that...
Yeah, it's breaking immersion. That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
breaking immersion and realizing it's like, oh yeah, they're trying to push politics.
Yeah, and I don't see why I mean, if you want to make a feminist Doctor Who, I'm not even necessarily, like, in opposition to that. You know, you just make them feminist by what they do. That's what I would have thought. I mean, I would have personally considered, like, Ripley to be one of the biggest feminists because she did everything herself and she got everything done. You know, and so you'd do the same with this. What would be the difference? Doctor Who. You know,
Honestly,
the
I
Doctor
wouldn't
does get
be-
things done, doesn't he? So that's fine.
I wouldn't be against like having a progressive Doctor Who, you know, that believes in white privilege
It's
and
already
stuff like
progressive, for fuck's sake.
that. But the thing is, you know, like there should be other people in that universe that aren't progressives and they interact according
Well, they probably
to how
are. I mean, there seem to be, like, tyrannical aliens and stuff. I don't know. I don't fucking watch it, though. So.
I don't think
No, but I-
someone who's seen their I don't think someone who's seen their civilization fall and is 900 years old is very likely to be a progressive.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. He is remarkably progressive, though. But,
I mean, you would expect him to be like
can we see
a
what
radical
Anita's
enlightenment
yeah. Well,
centre.
that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, it really does look like an ideological takeover of the franchise, but that's fine. I mean, let them do it. It'll just end up killing it even quicker. But yeah, for some reason, Lily Sarkeesian was furious about this, wasn't she? I haven't actually looked at her tweets yet. I just heard that she was autistically screeching about new Doctor Who.
these people are never happy about when they have a win. Like for her, it should be a win. Like it should be, yes, you know, like we managed to take over this media and blah blah blah. But they're never happy because if they would ever be happy, the money would stop flowing.
It's
They,
just,
they would not.
it's just
yeah.
really, really funny, though. Trashes new Doctor Who for not being black and transgendered. I mean, I guess we're going to have to look at these tweets. Where the fuck are these? Hundreds of tweets. Oh, no, that's...
It's Doctor Who cares, I think. Yeah.
Feminist critic Anita Sarkeesian,
Nice.
who harassed her critics during a recent panel at VidCon. Totally true. I know, I was there.
Just say that, listen, didn't she just say that men need to sit down and shut up? And that's exactly what she did.
Well, that I suppose that's what listen and believe means.
Well, didn't just sit there to listen and believe. Like, and
Oh
she
yeah,
was
I was absolutely there to believe that she believed the things she believed, and then for some reason she couldn't confirm that she believed the things that she claims to believe, which is really weird. But anyway, so yeah, we're absolutely thrilled about the Doctor Who news, but also just want to talk about the limits of victories like these. Okay, it's a victory. She's speaking in terms of war. This is her conducting her culture war against, I don't know, Western civilization,
Western media, yeah.
and she's and they're talking specifically in these terms. Obviously, she thinks she's fighting the patriarchy industrial complex or some ridiculous nonsense like that. But it's some ridiculous nonsense. But it needs to be said that DW, Doctor Who, obviously, I don't know what DW, fucking shut up, is still an overwhelmingly white show. Oh my god, Anita, for fuck's sake. Is that really the first place you're... I mean, Anita, you're not white, you're Armenian. You don't consider yourself white. So this is really fucking racist, isn't it?
You know what's
basically
funny?
a race imperialist.
I posted on my channel like 2 days ago India's version of Superman. And they have like Superman and Spider-Woman, and they're doing the Bollywood dance and all of that. And guess what? They're Indians, right? So,
Dun, dun, dun.
yeah, no one would call Bollywood racist for making a brown Superman. You know, no
Don't
one
tempt
would make,
Anita.
yeah, no one would make Japan racist if they would have an Asian Superman. But heaven forbid, you know, you have a white doctor in England. That's just no.
Or a Romanian doctor in England.
Do you know what's really interesting, though? She says, you know, it's an overwhelmingly white show and the issues of representation do not exist in isolation from each other. Yeah, okay, that's all I'm good, Anita. But, like, they are actually really progressive on Doctor Who, and they actually do take this into consideration. And apparently in 2016 they cast a black actress as the Doctor's new companion. Specifically in that role. They are actually hiring non-white people. Specifically for diversity. So her...
If it's not the main protagonist, it doesn't count.
Yeah, but her battering on about it is just like, Christ, you're not even... You're preaching to the choir, Anita. That's what you're doing. And you're persecuting them for not being as extreme and as fast as you are. I mean, just... just imagine if they chose a black transgender woman. People like, how is this not like a PC like appeasement? You know?
If the television would give her money and hire her as a consultant, I'm pretty sure she would give like only 5-star reviews, like glowing reviews to Doctor Who. They can hire anyone the fuck they want, doesn't matter.
Oh, God, listen to this language though. It's not as if you fix the woman problem, then the race problem, then the queer trans problem. It all has to happen in tandem. All right, they're all problems, aren't they? The woman problem and the race problem and the queer problem. I guess we need some sort of final solution, do we need?
Exactly.
They don't think like how many people are going to watch it, right? They don't realize that, okay, if you change too much, the old fans are going to drop it.
Yeah,
like,
probably,
how many people actually want a transgender Doctor Who?
Yeah.
And it's not because, you know, like people hate transgender people or whatnot.
It's just
but is it
significantly out of
to
character,
watch?
and it's obviously ideological pandering. Yeah. If they do that, you know, people just be like, look, you're just, you know, this is just horseshit, isn't it? But I just can't get over this, the woman problem, then the race problem. You just... Anita, you're not supposed to have a race problem. It sounds so awful. And
well, but if everything is racist, how do we fix it, Anita?
Well, do you know that Walt Disney was actually mind-fucked last week because they couldn't find someone to cast as Aladdin? Like, there were no famous Arabian actors that would fit what they were looking for.
It's in a fantasy country, and there's
Agrabah,
like white Arabs, so you could use a white person, and it wouldn't be a problem.
No, Anita
surely?
would flip her shit.
Oh, Anita would absolutely flip her shit, of course.
I don't give a fuck though. Maybe they do.
Yeah,
to be
apparently
fair.
they do.
Yeah.
It's just funny. It's just the mindset that I find so fascinating. It's total war mentality. It's right. Everything must be judged, Inquisitor. You know, it's like, holy shit, dude. You know, you've made the whole world your enemy.
What pisses me off is that, okay, if someone complains that the Doctor Who is a woman, then they immediately get called a sexist, and it's like, oh, you're a man baby crying, you know, just shut the fuck up. Don't you have anything better to complain, right? But now you have this woman who's asking for the Doctor to be, you know, like a black transgender, some midget or something. And no one is pointing at her and saying, like, oh, you cry, baby, just shut the fuck up.
Well, actually someone literally is just below, but he's probably an alt-right troll. He said only Anita could whinge about one of the most progressive sci-fi programs not being progressive enough. And there's some verified journo behind. She's not wrong, though. The show is overwhelmingly white. I said, oh, fucking take the victory where you got it, you dick. But I just love the way she ends with, we can and should celebrate the hell out of this news because it's truly wonderful, while also acknowledging we still need to go. It's like, all right, mum, you just come along concern trolled. Yeah, I'm sure that the entire progressive movement is going, right, okay, next time it can be a black doctor or something like that. But you're like, oh, well, remember, that's just not good enough. Fucking hell,
well, I posted this on your Twitter because you talked about the communist revolution, and it's like the revolution is never ending. You know, there's always like another fight. There's always
Damn it, V, you preemptively stole my line. Until these like radical leftist types reach the utopia that they've convinced themselves their ideology can achieve, the revolution doesn't stop. Nothing is good enough.
They don't want to reach the utopia, and if they reach it, they will invent new boogeyman, like the Menonist sphere, or something like that.
The utopia is unreachable in practice, so it doesn't matter whether or not they would actually ever reach it.
Like, I know, but I'm saying, assuming they would reach it, they would become necromancers and bring Gamergate back, even though it's irrelevant.
Well, they're already doing that. They're already doing that. Fucking train. Sorry, I forgot to close my window, and I thought it was too late for trains to get by.
Yeah, it's not that bothering.
No, seriously, right? This really does speak to what Bertrand Russell was saying, where he was talking about like no one predicted the Soviet Union. I'm reading Authority of the Individual. Someone gave it me at the meetup, and it's only 100 pages long, so I thought I'd blast through it. And I've actually gone out and got some tabs to put on the notes so I can easily reference things in books in future, because it's just a lot easier. But he says on page 35 how apparently no one predicted the Soviet Union, and I'm just sat there thinking, Christ, are you serious? With a doctrine like the Soviet Union's, and just like with a doctrine like Marxism that's all encompassing, you've got to predict a totalitarian state, right?
And can I just say,
I disagree with this, Sargon. I mean, you have, like, for instance, the ANCAP ideology. No one would predict that in the future someone would take their ideology seriously.
Yeah, but he wrote the Communist Manifesto. Like, nobody's allowed to own private property. Everything must be owned by the state.
Yeah, and people are going to read that, and they're going to say, okay, this is horseshit, this is nonsense, it's never going to come to pass.
Except it did come to pass. Well, not like the actual Soviet Union, but not the actual communism, but the socialist republics that replaced it. As the apparent transitional phase that failed to transition into the actual utopia, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, but like people would read that and they would say, okay, this is never going to happen, and then it happened, and that's why he says, like, people couldn't predict that the USSR.
Yeah, well, I think it is eminently predictable. That's the thing. I think that sort of level of centralization. I mean, maybe it's because we've got the benefit of reading 1984 and Animal Farm and all of that. They didn't have that, I suppose. But still, I mean, it's
well, in the USSR, they killed, like, what was it, like, I think over several million kulaks, which is like middle peasants, and the people that were in the cities had no idea about it until the famine hit. So basically, back then people weren't so aware as we are now. Like,
yeah, but if the government wasn't controlling the property of these people had private property, that probably wouldn't have happened, would it?
I mean, okay, the thing with not having private property is a yes and no, because despite the fact that you don't have private property, some people lived in better houses than others. So
yeah, I know, but the point is that these people would have not had all of their grain centralized or whatever happened.
Oh, they were just taken up and shot.
Well, that probably wouldn't have happened too. But this is the thing, right? I mean, anyone who's read Locke can look ahead and go, right, okay, yeah, if the government's taking your property, that's a bad idea. That's you should be able to own. I mean, and Uzadu, you pointed this out on Twitter earlier today. Where it just comes down to the whole thing that you're talking about the labor of humans, and I agree with Locke's principle of self-ownership, because otherwise the government owns you. And I actually don't want to be owned by the government, and I agree that if you don't have economic freedom, I mean, you can't really have personal freedom, can you?
Or freedom of movement, like if the borders are closed.
Oh yeah, freedom of movement. Don't worry about that, man. Jeez, don't worry about that. That's not important, is it? You're only in a totalitarian socialist state.
Yeah, it's like, at least the magic of capitalism is that if you don't like it, you can fuck off.
Yeah.
That is something that a lot of people take for granted. But when you're in a communist state, like if you're in North Korea, you literally can't fuck off.
Well, I mean, don't they find it strange that every time they have to keep people in? People are fleeing to the capitalist regimes.
Sorry, just now I said that it was Solzhenitsyn that predicted the Soviet Union, but I was wrong. It was Nietzsche and Dostoevsky independently, I think.
Really?
Yeah, they. I'm taking Jordan Peterson's word on this because I haven't read them.
I'm sure he's right. I haven't got to Nietzsche predicting it yet. I tell you what, I've been deliberately avoiding Beyond Good and Evil because it's just such a fucking nightmare to read. I'm about, I think third to halfway through it, and it's like, no, fuck it, I'll do something else. It's just too much work.
Arch told me that in Norway you can't own private property. You basically rent it from the state. I wonder if that's true or not.
Really? But he owns his own means of production, though, doesn't he?
Well, apparently he lends them from the state. Like
Really?
he can't. Yeah,
I'd
that's
have
what.
to ask him about that.
Yeah, so bad you don't have a live stream because we could have asked the chat now.
Yeah, I don't.
But still, like the only reason that would work is because Norway has oil. Like if you have oil, you can be like Saudi Arabia, you know, and it's like still a functioning sort of system.
So again, it's another totalitarian state. It's
Yeah, but it's functioning. It's not collapsing. That's fine.
yeah, I suppose. Apparently, they've got a massive welfare state, though. Absolutely.
Yeah,
colossal.
Saudi Arabia is the biggest welfare state in the world.
But you know what I find? Bertrand Russell makes an interesting argument for the role of individuality, and not just in personal rights terms either.
He's an anti-tribalist.
Yeah, he is, basically. He says that practically all progress, artistic, moral, and intellectual, has depended on such individuals like... oh, sorry, I should have started earlier, really. So... So he says, as men grow more civilized, there comes an increasing difference between one man's activities and another's, and a community's needs. If it's to prosper, a certain number of individuals who do not wholly conform to the general type. Practically all progress, artistic, moral, and intellectual, has depended on such individuals, who have been a decisive factor in the transition from barbarism to civilization. If a community is to make progress, it needs exceptional individuals whose activities, though useful, are not of the sort that ought to be general. There is always a tendency in highly organised society for the activities of such individuals to be unduly hampered, but on the other hand, if community exercises no control, the same kind of individual initiative which may produce a valuable innovator may also produce a criminal. So he's saying, you know, you get more if you leave people alone and leave them in freedom, but of course that does mean you get more negative as well as positive. But it prevents stagnation, and I'm sure there's something to that.
Do you know how much communism dissuaded these types of people?
Yeah,
like,
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, there was who I retweeted some guy with hammers and sickles in his username earlier on, where he was saying that basically capitalism is kind of stealing and brain draining the socialist world by making it more attractive to live, and so the intellectuals tend to flee towards the capitalist countries. And it's like, yeah, that's a really, really ironic way of looking at it, really, isn't it? It's like, yeah, we're stealing them by just being better than you. Maybe you should
I think
change.
you find that the fat industrialists known as porkies went over there specifically and kidnapped the intellectuals for the great cause
in the middle of the
capitalism.
night. Yeah,
For instance, they take to Romania.
put them to work in the science mines. Seriously, the socialist conception of it is so that it has to be evil, or it doesn't. Or the mythology they build up doesn't work. But yeah, go on, V.
Well, in Romania, there's two doctors in Transylvania who invented artificial blood, right? If they would have done this in communism, they couldn't, take a profit out of their invention. Like the state would give them a medal, give them a pat on the back, and that's it, right? Then it would have been the invention of Romania. Their names would rarely be mentioned, and you don't get any money from it. So basically, people are not promoted to be inventors, to think outside the box, to invent something, because what's the point?
It's ironic as well, because there's a tendency for those creative and usually intelligent, sometimes conscientious people that you mentioned there that prevent stagnation but can also lead to instability, to be left-wing. So, it's not like communism is just anti-fascist. No, they're anti pretty much anyone who doesn't specifically align with that particular regime's form of communism.
Yeah, and
they need hegemony to be able to implement it. So anyone threatening that has to go.
Being an artist is extremely dangerous, because if you draw something that is not even offensive, but the state perceives it to be offensive, then you can risk getting in jail. You can risk, losing your family in the worst situations. So why risk it? Why become an artist? Not to mention that artists were considered parasites. Like on the border. Why don't you get a normal job in a factory like everyone else?
See, here's another interesting bit, right? The impulse towards... This was written in 1949, remember. The impulse towards liberty, however, seems to have lost much of its force among reformers, and has been replaced by the love of equality, which has been largely stimulated by the rise to affluence and power of new industrial magnates, without any traditional claim to superiority. And the exigencies of total war have persuaded almost everyone that a much tighter social system is necessary than that which contented our grandfathers. there is over a large part of the Earth's surface something not unlike a reversion to the ancient Egyptian system of divine kingship, controlled by a new priestly caste. Although this tendency has not gone far in the West, it has in the East. It has nevertheless gone to lengths which would have astonished the 18th and 19th centuries, both in England and America. Individual initiative is hemmed in by the state or by powerful corporations, and there is a great danger lest this should produce, as in ancient Rome, a kind of listlessness and fatalism that is disastrous to vigorous life.
Yeah, well said. That could be said accurately, completely today.
Yeah, exactly. It's
It's
very
actually pretty on the
interesting,
money.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's certainly. I mean, its history is definitely full of cycles, and I'm guessing that the cycle of socialism is a persistent one.
If we could please not have a collapse of the Western world at the end of this cycle, that would be pretty nice.
Yeah, because
Well-
I mean, this is one thing I think a lot of people aren't really considering. I mean, we are legitimately talking about the Western, like, liberal tradition. It really feels like it's on the verge of collapse to me.
I don't think it's going to
And-
collapse,
and
but I
not
think we're
out of
going
its
to
not-
get...
No. Listen, I'm not saying our civilizations are going to collapse. What I
The
mean is
ideology.
like the ideology. You know,
And I think you might be right, because the next generation is going to be conservative as fuck. Like,
well,
the things that I see
these
that
are
talk on
people
Facebook-
whom we should be proselytizing to, really. But
Yeah.
yeah, but
Sargon of Akkad
It's
advocates
indoctrination, yeah.
pedagogy.
Sargon
they
and
do it.
PewDiePie.
You saw
Mob.
the fucking.
it's true.
You saw the what was it the kiddie consent thing, and with the weird
Yeah.
gypsy thing or whatever it was on there. It was like, holy shit! These
I do
people
agree
think
with
this
you,
should
though.
be played to children.
Like Generation Z, from what you said in This Week in Stupid, they are libertarian, which I
Yeah.
think is,
Great.
even
I
though they're
don't
right
think they're
wing,
libertarian.
that's
Yeah.
very good in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if we can show them that, because I think liberal values is a pretty general thing, and almost like most people in a wide area of the compass have these basic values, whether even if they're conservatives. So if we can just advocate for those to such a degree that we can convince, not indoctrinate, but convince Generation Z of their merits, we might be able to have a resurgence of them.
Yeah, I think there's definitely room for it.
I mean, I'm hanging on different gaming forums, and I see, kids that are Generation Z, and they talk about how they're against interracial marriage, and I'm like, what the fuck,
Dude,
I've
there
never
was a survey done in Britain recently where something like only 9% of Britons would consider dating outside their race. It was like, whoa, that's
Well,
pretty white
it's one thing.
nationalist.
Yeah, but it's one thing to not want to date outside their race, because people can't help, to be attracted. But it's another thing to completely see, like an interracial couple on the street and start like, oh, look at those.
Oh no,
degenerates."
I think that most people would be against that. I think they would see it as just their personal choice to date a white person if they wanted to date a white person or whatever. But they wouldn't. I don't think they'd make a big deal out of an interracial couple these days.
Well, surprisingly, right now, a lot of Asians and other minorities are against that. So
Well,
if you're
yeah,
going to
okay,
hear
but
like
I'm
a
talking about the
backlash,
British people.
well, you can be Asian and be British as well.
Yeah, I'm obviously talking about the European British, like the native Anglo-Saxon Celtic British. Why do I have to specify that? That was obvious.
Prominent alt-right YouTuber Sargon of Akkad asserts that Europeans must be white.
Well, they do. God, I hate having these conversations because they're such minefields.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
it's just like, look.
Yeah, you need to say the exact words, and you need to like put the problem in a different way. Like, for instance, if you say to someone like, "Get back to your country," or "Go back to the country you come from," a lot of people just take that literally. It's like, "Oh, I was born here," but that's not the point, right? You're basically saying an insult, like "fuck off," and the insult refers to someone who did not integrate into the culture. Like, you're doing something that most people in that culture find it unacceptable. So it's basically a way of saying, like, just why can't you integrate? Why
Yeah,
can't you
I do think
one?
it's cultural more than racial. I think, and the reason I think that is because no one says that to, like, the Chinese or the Sikhs or the Indians. They don't
exactly.
ever do that because they really don't cause cultural problems.
Yeah, it's like
they
Romanians
function
would go
perfectly
to
well.
Yeah, if Romanians would go to Qatar and they would start drinking alcohol and eat pork,
Yeah.
the Qatarians would have a shit. They would go like, "Oh, what the fuck are you doing? Get back to your own country."
Probably, yeah. And they'd be probably right to do so. You don't do
Yeah.
that, though. Although you
It's-
probably can in touristy areas or something, I don't know.
Yeah, well, as the saying, when in Rome, do what Romans do. And I'm pretty sure that if you go in tourist areas and you drink alcohol and you eat pork, people are still going to look really bad at you. You know, they're not going to appreciate that.
So there's another bit where he talks about world government, which is interesting. He makes the argument, I won't read it all out, but he makes the argument that, look, basically as technology improves, the size of an empire is hampered by means of communication, really. And so the quicker people can move between areas and the quicker they can communicate, the larger an empire they can hold together. And you can see this in the progress of just empires over human civilization. They just get bigger progressively over time until you have like
Did
the
Alex Jones
world-spanning...
wrote that?
Sorry?
Did Alex Jones wrote what you just read?
No, this is Bertrand Russell, obviously. But no, this is true, right? And so he's like, look, inevitably one is eventually going to conquer the entire world, and then that will ossify as well. And so that will end up becoming like, a world state. And it's hard to think that they wouldn't eventually be a world state. I mean, he is right. That is the trend towards ever-increasing size because of the diminution of time between different locations.
How would you
due to
govern that?
increasing technology. What do you mean, how do you govern it?
How would you govern a world state?
It's a good question. With the internet, it might actually be feasible. But I mean, I'm not really in favour of the idea. Because, I mean, it would obviously have to have a military, and I don't like the idea of a world state having a military, because there are no enemies to fight.
You need to be accountable not just below, but like beside as well. You need to have competitors, otherwise there's no motive for a state, especially a world state, to keep itself worthwhile. Because when we have a world full of states, we're all competing. We all have to make sure that we, this
it's
filters down
healthy.
to being accountable to the people as well as being accountable internationally.
That's another thing. He talks about like how. Sorry, let me just find the actual bit.
But what if like the world state would invest resources in colonizing the moon and other things? Because it would actually be possible then.
It would almost certainly oppress people, just because of the fact that there's no other state. It would very likely be. It would just go straight towards authoritarianism with almost no way of stopping it.
I think I spoke with Arch about it, and he said like if you want to colonize the moon, it would have to be a world effort. Like everyone would have to pitch in, and if you'd have a world state, that would definitely like be one of the things.
Maybe. I mean, we probably would have colonized the moon sooner if the Nazis had won. So that's one advantage.
Right. Well, I mean, he does actually mention all this, and he states how barbarous people basically are in a particular state of happiness, because this comes back to the listlessness of eternal security. He thinks that there's an inherent sort of percentage of the population that he calls energetic, and that long for competition, and that's what keeps them going. And when you take away their ability to compete, like he gives like Papua New Guinean headhunters as an example, when the white man prevents him from hunting heads, he becomes listless and lifeless, and then he just turns to drink. And he apparently a Native American tribe called the Crow Indians that I've never heard of. I'm not a big expert on the Native Americans, to be honest. But one of the a Dr. R. Lowry studied them for many years, and he says that ask a Crow whether he would have security as now on a reservation, or danger of old, and his answer is danger as of old. There was glory in it. Then specifically this sort of glory-seeking energy that he's talking about, and I think that's always going to be the case. I think there will always be people like that. And so
I think
and they're the sort of people, I think he's right, that are driving society forward. I mean, one of the things that really bothers me is the art I see coming out now is really like, I don't know. I mean, it's speaking like to the person itself rather than trying to tell a story. It looks like self-aggrandizement to me. Like any ideological art is always sanitized to basically be propaganda, but I'm not seeing anything else. Everything seems
I think
shit.
There's three relevant things I can relay from Jordan Peterson here. The first is that it sounds like the kind of people you're describing are a mix of conscientious and creative people, and both are obviously very important. Another thing is
the people Bertrand Russell was describing, but I think he might be onto something.
Yeah. There's also that related to what you're saying is that if you get significant wealth inequality, not just poverty but wealth inequality, there's a like remarkably good correlation between that and male homicide rates.
Isn't
Like
it?
better than almost any correlation in psychology. It's better than the correlation between IQ and success, which is already remarkably high.
Really?
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, if you, it relates definitely to the idea that if you take away things for people to do, there's going to be more wealth inequality because just a few people are going to have so much resources, and then you're going to get to, serious social problems. And I've forgotten what the third thing was.
No, don't worry about. Don't worry. But I mean, yeah, Bertrand Russell did mention something along those lines as well. He suggested there would have to be some sort of healthy outlet for such urges, and I agree. I mean, this is he was talking about general human nature here, and I think that that's probably necessary. That's why
I can't believe that in 2017 we're trying to explain to people that communism is bad.
I know, but I think it's going to be a 100-year cycle, to be honest, Matt.
It's going to come back as well someday.
Oh my God! Look what the feminist activists are saying about Doctor Who.
Go on. Let's go back to Doctor Who because this is getting depressing.
Okay, I'll send it on Skype.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that might just be a.
No.
Parody.
It's an actual. No, it's not a parody.
I'm going to see if it's a real one. Hang on.
Okay, it has 83.7 thousand likes and 34.2 thousand retweets.
Lefty journalists making sure it gets seen, I guess.
No, they are trying to make the outrage because they want the man babies to cry, as they call it. They want people to be upset. That's how they make money. That's their business model. So this is like the bait.
See, I remember when I was more progressive, I acted the same way when sort of like you got these social victories, but I would never consider getting a woman in Doctor Who for ideological reasons to be that kind of victory. Like I was like that with the gay marriage thing in the US, because I really don't see a good argument against that. But with this, like they think that it's some utterly virtuous victory. They don't see it, I don't think, as like an ideological conquest, but they act like it is. They act like it is.
Well, here's the thing, right? If I would want, for instance, a new Mass Effect game, I would want it to have like a really sexy female character with big tits and nice ass, so that when I play the game, I enjoy that, right? But I think people like that, they want a female Doctor Who, not because they want to watch the TV show and enjoy the fact that there's a female Doctor Who there, but I think it's mostly for ideological reasons. How do you feel?
Dude, it's totally for it, right? Look at this, right? She is literally crowing over a victory. She's got her picture now as Daenerys Targaryen, which is different to the picture she had before. But she said, "Yeah, we've taken your Ghostbusters and Star Wars and superheroes and Doctor Who. Nothing is sacred. We will defile it with all our with our womanly hands." Right? 63,000 retweets. That is amazing. Right? But the thing is, then she's like, and another thing, even if female representation / reboots are objectively bad as films or as TV, their existence is still helpful. So it's just better for this to exist. And this is
Comrade.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say this is communist art. This it doesn't matter whether it's actually shit. What matters is for the revolution. This is helpful as propaganda.
Do you know what's funny?
One of those that she mentions definitely is shit as well.
Yeah,
I was really involved in the forums, gaming forums, and gaming communities when all of this happened back in the 2000s. And the argument that they would put forward is that it's good for business, right? It's like your show is watched by men, and right now, so if we're going to have like a female character, it will attract more women, and so it's obviously math, idiot. You're going to make more money, right? That's what they were saying. And when it's proven that now is not good for business, they're basically just saying, "Oh, it's good that it's dead." It's just like
I'd like
they forget the past.
I'd like Grace to explain exactly what goal what goal exactly it's good for, even if the art is crap.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that would be
it's the goal of feminism, clearly.
Yeah. But I would want to be specific about the goal of feminism, what it is.
Well, I mean, she seems to be,
in her opinion.
Yeah, she's not shy. Look, for some reason this isn't coming up.
Can you ask her the question, Sargon? Because you have like a lot of subscribers on Twitter.
No,
so
hang on, V. Look, hang on. not asking anything. But she's like, I will have a dip in the tears of straight men. And it's just a joke though. I mean, I'm just bragging that we've taken all of your stuff and that we're laughing at you crying about it. But it's a joke. And the thing is, I don't even care about any of this. I don't give a shit about Doctor Who or Marvel. But it's the fact that people have to see the way they're acting. I mean, this is this is pretty vile. I would think if anyone was acting this way, I'd be like, it's fucking vile.
Yeah, and it's not just this either. It's the
exactly.
pattern that this is part of.
Well, yeah, and she's literally telling us like Ghostbusters, Star Wars, superheroes.
It's not to make the medium better. Yeah, it's not to make the medium better for everyone, or like try to improve the show or anything like that.
No, not at all. It's all self-centeredness.
Yeah, it's just to make the male tears. Wait.
Yeah,
and people like ask themselves, it's like, why do people like gamers, hate feminism? It's because, well, feminism is an ideology that says that gamers are sexist, they're misogynists, and then they come into gamer spaces and they have like don't rape platforms every now and then. Like when you go to a gaming convention, you'll see like these posters say like cosplay is not consent, and they despise gamers wherever they go. Like they talk shit about gamers. So when you see like the feminist ideology injected into video games, this is why gamers hate it. Because it reminds them, okay, these are the kind of people that you're catering to. These are the people that the developer hangs out with. So it's not the fact that you, for instance, get to see a female Ghostbusters, but it's like, okay, these are the people the director of the show caters to by having women in Ghostbusters when there's like no reason for the story to have them.
Sorry, I'm just getting distracted with her Twitter timeline. It's just, it's like just awful normie shit. But either way, like, just for anyone listening, don't go and contact her. Do not do this. There is nothing to be gained. She has literally nothing to say to you other than I have defeated you. So don't bother contacting her. She's not up for a negotiation. She's not going to start debating the merits of your position. She doesn't care.
I would just ask her, like, what is the victory? Like, what have you obtained? That's what I'm really legitimately curious. I'm not saying to troll her or anything like that, but I'm actually curious what is the victory that she considers has been made? Like, how is this improving women's life in real life? Because there's a female Doctor Who on a show. How are actual women on the street, having a better life because of it?
Well, it does nothing. It makes internet feminists feel good. I mean,
I know,
look, she's loving this, isn't she?
Yeah. No, but
the internet is roasting sexist Doctor Who fans, and it's just magnificent. All right, Tom.
Do you know what I would do?
Hang on now. Unfortunately, social media users who have no time for sexist Whovians. So this is another community they've successfully divided. They've gone in, they've got the Whovians and the sexist Whovians. You don't want to be a sexist Whovian, do you? No, just accept feminism into your life. Not as good a feminism as it could be, because it's not a black, transsexual, lesbian, whatever, but it's good enough. I love it, mocking their stupid baby faces. Oh, that's nice.
No examples given, though.
Well, not in this, but this is just screenshots.
What people should
but she's featuring her own screenshot in it as well.
What people should do is to tweet and say that they really appreciate the fact.
No, they shouldn't fucking tweet them. There's no point tweeting them.
Aww.
No, just don't do it. You're not going to gain anything by tweeting this person. Tweet other people, don't tweet this person. This person has got nothing interesting to say. We can tell. Well, apart from this one tweet, I guess. But so she's only got like 2,000 followers, so don't fucking contact her. There's nothing to be gained from it. And it'll just get me in trouble. That's the thing. If you contact her, I'm the one who gets in trouble. Even though I'm in no way responsible for your actions and I can't control you in any way, shape or form. But just, for care of my own fucking channel, I'd really appreciate it if you just
people said that I have a superpower, which is to get you into trouble.
Yeah. I get the blame of that.
Everything I do reflects on you.
Yeah, when V invaded the playground? That was actually Sargon's plan.
Right. I didn't even know where everyone was.
No, I didn't see it happen. And there's videos of
that's why I was
running around.
That's what you're going with, eh?
I don't know. No one fucking told me.
Would you have read in unison at the flag?
I'm sure if you were there, you would have been. Oh, guys, cut this shit. Okay?
Well, obviously, I would have been. Honestly, it's just like.
I'm going to make a video on my channel.
There's no need to do that. But yeah, anyway, so this whole thing is just it's just annoying to watch. I don't care about it at all, But watching the feminists be such dicks is just like, oh god, you're so awful. And I feel really bad for like, Doctor Who fans who are just like, I just wanted it to be like Doctor Who rather than your feminist agenda, which is what this is clearly transitioned into.
She has a website I linked it. It's called Curious Cat Me.
No, that's a question and answer site.
Either way, don't contact her. She's not going to change her mind, and she'll just paint us as horrible people, regardless of what you say. Even if you say nice things, don't talk to them. Talk to other people about them.
But here's the thing. I don't think she will change her mind, but maybe someone that's on her timeline, might see the discussion and go like, hold on. I mean, there's a lot of SJWs who came out, like Lacey Green and other people, and they're because of the discussion that went around the subject, they started investigating more. It's not like they will see something.
Yeah, but these people are the spearhead. They're the ones pushing for feminism in Doctor Who. They're not going to go, you know what, you got a good point, we are pushing for feminism in Doctor Who. They're just going to go, yeah, of course we are, shut up and get out of the way. So honestly, just don't worry about them. Just speak to other people about them. If
1,000 people message her and say like, look, I'm an alt-right and I love the fact that there's a female Doctor Who, what is she going to say?
Being harassed by alt-right trolls who are talking about the female Doctor Who.
Oh, I'm getting death threats as well, apparently.
And when someone looks at it, it's going to look really bad. It's like,
no one's going to look like it. No one that agrees with her, who's the people she's going to reach, are going to actually look into it.
Yeah, and notice how she was featured in various articles and stuff like that.
Do you know what we should do?
If you contact her, I guarantee you, she will get even more articles about the quote-unquote harassment of differing opinions. It doesn't matter what you do. All that will happen is she will get more powerful.